Good morning and welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Friday the 6th of August. Okay, before I get on with the news, just to let you know I will not be providing any updates next week. I'm away on holiday for the week, so unfortunately, well, no, not unfortunate for me, but maybe unfortunate for you, I'm off, so will not be doing any updates for next week. So let's then look at the markets now. The big figures, so the big data today, of course, is the US non-farms. Lots of speculation always surrounds this, but to a point where, well, we're seeing very little movement. Yesterday, if we look through the markets and you look at the sort of 60-minute chart here, the euro is such an ugly beast yesterday. And well, I was looking at one stage I'd put a sell stop at 118.25. There was a load of buy orders finding support at this earlier point here, and I just thought, well, that may get a bounce. It sure did, but wasn't really wanting to be on the long side. However, I cancelled the order after quite a few hours, and overnight I noticed it eventually would have triggered that sort of area, but whether it will continue to the downside now, it's just too late for me. Anyway, I think it's a case of waiting for non-farms to come out today. Okay. So anyway, let's just have a look a bit more in detail of this euro dollar, and we got sort of a lower high come through yesterday, lower low, so it's sort of certainly looking softer in what we've got here. We had the spike on the previous news there, but really not doing too much. I'm just looking at this market as a whole, and down to the hourlies, yes, it might get a bit more of a bounce up. Daily pivot sits at 1840, could well be in range, but I think it's a case of patience today. Looking at the pound had a reasonable day yesterday. In terms of the candle body, bullish engulfing there, still looking more solid than the euro, and has the potential. When you look down the time frames here, it again looks like, well, it's bounced again off double bottom effectively into that weekly pivot there. Has it got the legs to push up there? Again, we just could get delayed and see a lot of, I mean, as a whole, sorry, I'll just come back to that 4 hourly. You see the week starting from this point, it's not really done too much. It's quite range bound. If it can break above that 500 MA around about 139.57, 58 area, if it can push through that, maybe it's got some more legs in it. In the shorter term, we might see a bit more of a move kicking in post 8 o'clock. We'll have to have a look. As I often say, these markets, and they often do it, they turn on a dime. They literally, you get about 5 past, quarter past, sometimes about half past. They might have just triggered what looks like one direction and completely switch around and go the other way. So you've got to tread carefully with them. And the summer is inevitably probably on a bit lighter volume, easier for some of that action to happen. But the pound at the moment, well, looking like it might have a bit more upside this morning, but I think many people will be out of these markets, probably not trading them. Yen has been putting the lower highs, lower lows in on a daily basis, but yesterday just saw a continuation, that big bullish engulfing candle there. It was sort of we saw a continuation of that movement yesterday, and again we've seen it pushing up at the moment. Safety may come into play. It's now run into its weekly pivot. Great tools, pivots, great for targets, great for finding resistance at times and support. In this case, it's just found it running into a bit of resistance at that level. Of course, it could continue and push on through that stage now, but for now at least, it's finding resistance there. Looking from with the daily pivot on here on these shorter pivot levels, it's run into effectively the weekly pivot itself, and also the daily R1. So it's sort of it's just short of, so a bit of a double whammy there. At the moment, looking a bit softer, and maybe we'll see a bit more rollover. If we start seeing money running to safety, well, the yen will be the one that picks it up, and again we'll see the dollar selling on that basis, or the yen gaining. We'll see it pushing down southwards. Okay, Aussie dollar. If I can press the right button, there we go. So Aussie dollar consolidating, and it's sort of it's almost a game of bull flag, bear flag on these markets. Some of them at times. It's in the bigger picture here, it's still really a bear flag. When you come down the time frames, it's been a bit more sort of bullish at times. What is it in this time frame though? It's a mess. Yeah, I mean, it's got a sort of a resistance area around that 74.14 sort of area. Thanks, Paul. It's 74.14 is a sort of a resistance point there-ish. There's supply up here, and there's supply up here. It's getting ahead of itself in my book. It may give opportunities into next week on the short side, and some of what I'd be doing, I'm not going to be trading next week. I'm going to be away, but I'll leave my auto trader on, and just that's it. But day-to-day trading I'm not going to be doing. But if I was sitting there looking today, I'd be looking at the potential for next week. And some of these markets, I think the Aussie dollar maybe has got a step ahead of itself a little, and may roll backwards again at some stage. It finds it easier to sell off very quickly, and then takes a hell of a long time to push back up again. Just as I'm looking at the moment, it's already through the daily pivot here, pulled back to the key moving averages. Again, it's sort of almost primed to sell, and as I said, in that bigger picture, it's that bear flag sort of territory, and you could be a bit more sort of conservative, drop a trend line over here and say, well, leading into next week, if I start seeing this sort of area sort of broken, then I get on the short side of things. If it continues pushing up, I just stand aside. I'm not going to lose any sleep on that. So there we are. There's the Aussie. Right, Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar is a funny old one, whereas everything else was losing. It was gaining against the US dollar here. US dollar sold here yesterday, and the Canadian dollar benefiting from it. Just come down the time frames there. Again, though, when you look at it over the week so far, it's quite difficult. It's got a confirmed lower high in there, which to me shapes up somewhat for further downside. So potentially, at least, you could be a bit more again conservatively here and wait for the 24.75 sort of area to be jumping aboard on something like that. But it just looks a little bit soft. The US dollar against the CAD at the moment, it's already sort of breaking down today. But again, just wait post 8 o'clock, just see if it shows its hand a little bit more. It may just roll over and continue rolling over here, but there is the opportunity. Then we'll just wait a little while and see if we can push through. There is the Canadian data coming out today as well, so it's not just the US non-farms, it's the Canadian wages as well. So you might get a double whammy on it, so be really careful, particularly if you're leaving anything open towards the 130 cutoff there, or data. Real risk. Okay, I'll answer some of these questions in minutes. Canadian dollar. Okay, I look at a couple of pairs I often trade is the euro yen. I quite like it as a pair. Often I say, but not at the moment. I don't know. It's trying its best here to get a bit more of a bounce back, going back on here. I mean, if you're looking at this in the bigger picture and looking for more of a position, a break back above this sort of 130.58 area would be quite bullish, but the way things are hanging at the moment and the risk on risk off situation is just looking, to me, it's just too risky. And at any stage it could just sort of roll back a bit. I mean, this week it's already put a lower high coming through here. I don't know if it did diverge. It's probably on the RSI. It diverged. Their calculations would show it diverging. There we go. Who needs signals when you can just look at what the price is doing anyway? But it's trying its best to get a bit further up there. But it's consolidated where it is. I was looking back at it at the earlier part of the week, looking for opportunities on it, and it's not really given too much. I think I've got one decent trade out of it this week, and that's it. But at the moment, difficult one for long periods. It's just getting into chop, and I think we might just see a bit more of a continuation of that running through. Bearish looking picture at the moment, maybe. It may roll some more. Okay, that's euro yen. Right, I'll answer a couple of questions. Oh, the pound yen. Let's have a look at the pound yen for you then. Yeah, I mean, it's the great unknown sometimes. The pound yen's had a good time. It swung up nicely from the monthly pivot there at the beginning, at the earlier part of this week. It's been pushing up quite nicely, higher lows, higher highs coming through there. Consolidating where it is, might just roll back. I see what you're looking at, John, there, and can understand why you might have closed part off. But consolidation around the highs there, to me, I always suggest, well, has the potential for further upside. But of course, with non-farm payrolls coming in, anything can happen, and often anything does happen. So sometimes nothing happens, but the consolidation is just hanging in there at the moment. Questions coming through here. How do you monitor fundamental variables? I just keep a record of everything that's going on. I do look at one. So this is a question I've just been. How do you monitor the fundamental variables, etc. One thing that I look at is I build my own picture up. I look at what the central banks are looking for, and then make notes of what the central banks are looking for. So the data that they're asking for, jobs reports, really highly important. This is an essential report for today. Hence why I think it could be quite a choppy one leading through into it. So I will look at that. I also like there's a site called ING or think.ing, I think it is. It's ING Bank basically, and they write some. They're analysts, perhaps because they sort of follow the same lines of my thinking. I actually like what they do, and I sort of often read quite a bit what they do. They do some good analysis. Barclays, I've got an account with them, and I get some data that they sometimes send me, but I find it a bit less useful. As I say, ING I think is one of the best out there in terms of providing just very clear data and fundamental data, and it's written in such a way it's easy for the layman to read as well. Okay, let's press on anyway. So yep, gone through this. Let's have a look at the fundamentals. Let's look at gold. So gold fouled. Sorry, I couldn't do one yesterday. I was out on an appointment, but gold fouled and rolled on Wednesday, rolled over Thursday. It's looking soft to where it is at the moment. Often claimed as the inflation currency. Although there's lots of inflation, it doesn't seem to be too convincing. It is that time of year, I keep on saying this, it is that time of year when generally we see gold slowly falling back a little bit anyway. But just looking at it at the moment through the time frame, it's very difficult. I mean, this you get this big movement through news, a news event, and your speaker, and then you get absolutely nothing. It's really following the same route to a degree as the euro at the moment. Difficult to do too much. It will get. I'm sure we will see some big volatility going on later on. No divergence here on this time frame. I don't know about the bigger time frame, but you've got a higher low at the moment, so there's no divergences kicking through yet. It's got to go lower. So it's quite a mess. As I say, whenever I look at a market, I think that looks like a mess. The best thing is I think is just to leave it alone, and that's why I don't look at some of the indices. I think like I said, DAX, very difficult to trade at the moment. I don't care how good a trader you are. Okay, right. Anyway, sorry, need to press on with this. Just very aware that it soon get very long. Oil's been off most this week. Yesterday got a bit of a bounce there into its 4 hourly 21. It's the exponential 21 there at the moment. This bear flag sort of territory. I mean, the bigger picture, it looks pretty strong, but we start coming down the time frames. Looks a bit bearish, flaggy. My preference is normally to trade this in the afternoons. It's Western Texas. Oil, I'd prefer to be looking at positions in the afternoon, but if after the news it's kicking around there, 2 o'clock-ish time is the best time. You get more liquidity coming through its futures market. If it starts breaking down, then if it hasn't already gone, it might look good on the short side there. Okay, right. Yep, being in the position, there's lots of people that say that, Sheila, and sitting there today is fine. waiting patiently, as I said. There's no need to run into any markets today whatsoever. Okay, let's just have a look at let's run through the indices actually first, and then I'll go into the crypto. So just make sure it's on daily setting. So okay, the CSI, the 300 index, Hong Kong, looking at the Chinese market really, selling off through the Asian session. I did say on Wednesday about this area here, this sort of previous trend line may become as resistance, and sure enough, that sort of seems to have held at the moment. Looking a bit soft. Well, I mean, lots of things may happen following on from non-farm payrolls anyway, and you may see some of these equity markets react. The FTSE's been doing okay. Yesterday's just sold off a little bit there, not much, holding its own. Again, today's news might give it a bit of a kicker later on. It just looks a bit soft where it's sitting there. I can't see a reason why it's not really running into any resistance. Resistance may be in ahead at 71.51, but for whatever reason it's holding its own there. May just be a thin market where traders aren't really wanting to do too much. S&Ps, I just keep saying it, don't sell them. We see it time and time again. It looks it starts getting a little bit bearish, and then it goes in, and I don't know if it did make a new high there yesterday, but all-time high. But it wasn't far off of making an all-time highs. So just again, it's the S&Ps could be affected by the jobs report later on. If the jobs really came out particularly wonderfully good, I think you'd see the S&P selling off quite quickly. You see quite a reaction to it, but if the jobs come in poorly, we could see the S&Ps, etc., take another push up there. DAX has actually pushed out. There's me moaning about it being a consolidated market, which it is, but it is what it is there. It's broken out a little bit, suddenly got a bit of movement. I mean, it's what you get: consolidation, you get breakouts and movements, and this is what we're seeing at the moment. It's not far off major resistance there at 15,800, 1,500, 15,800 even. There you go, around about that level there. Key resistance, all-time highs, so just watch out for that. Nasdaq just switching across, new all-time highs yesterday for the Nasdaq. Dow just holding back a little bit, a bit slower. Only 30 stocks in it. It doesn't always. There's a lot of people take a lot of focus a lot on it, but the broader markets and the broader indices are my favour. Okay, that's pretty much it. Let's have a quick look at the cryptos. And apologies for those crypto traders that have been waiting patiently for it, but I haven't got much to say on these, to be fair. I say I haven't got much. Look at this, what it's done. So we've seen this sort of sell-off. It sold off over the weekend, continued through, caught a bounce during the week here, and at the moment you're seeing this, and it's a sort of little bull flag, and well, it could push up again. It will be affected later on by the news. Could go either way, so I would tread really carefully if you're a day trader of these currencies. Ethereum again, just storming ahead at the moment, just short of some sort of resistance coming in around about that 28.72 area. Ripple, it's be sluggish as anything. I was looking at this yesterday, and just personally just looking at it yesterday, and I think that once it caught actions out of the way, it will be allowed to flow, but for now it's just sitting there on the sideline. Okay, that's pretty much it for me. I wish you a good day's trading, a good non-farms. As I said, there is no rush to push into any of these markets. I'm just having a quick look at what the 10-year yield's doing at the moment. Not very much. So picked up a little bit. Right, okay, just having a quick look. But yeah, nothing major at the moment. I think a bit of patience today, and you can trade after the news comes out. Don't try to trade the news or immediately the news comes out. If you're quick on the button, yes, you can be trading it immediately, but patience. And then just remember, next week I'm not around, so I wish you a great week. I'm going to be on holiday. Have a great one. Bye for now.